ever want to be pink. In episode 4, I'll be jumping back in time to the beginning of 1967 to a terrible event that threatened to stop the United States bid for the moon in its tracks. I'll be back
that in with the snacks, I'll have that later.
To tell the story of the Apollo program's darkest hour, the fire that erupted inside the
that was my... you want it?
No, I was wondering what it was.
Who were due to fly on Apollo 1.
San Pellegrino?
First shift.
What is it called?
San Pellegrino?
San
Pellegrino.
You heard something like fire.
Snapple is a type
And
of
then you heard a scream.
No, that's right.
And it was over.
I'd be surprised if anybody thought we were ever going to make all the flights and make the first landing on the moon without having lost.
Just look where those apples are. They look pretty huge, eh?
At the accident on the ground.
The tragedy exposed deep flaws in the Apollo program.
This crummy spacecraft that we're faced with in the beginning of 1967. Shoddy workmanship.
Yeah! Woo!
I talked to Selma. We couldn't make a mistake like that. They did have
Turn right.
scheduling. It's just reckless.
There's tragic.
Continue on current road for more than 50 kilometers.
13 Minutes to the Moon is an original podcast from the BBC World Service. Send us comments or rate us, thank you. It all helps spread the word. If not, please do leave ratings and reviews. We'd love to know what you think. On social media, we're using the hashtag 13 minutes to the moon. That's all one word. And on our website, you'll find videos, images, and documents. And there's more to come. Go to bbcworldservice.com/13minutes. I'm Kevin Fogg. Thanks for listening.
Is that how long the podcast is? 13 minutes?
No, this one is about the 13. This one is specifically of this series is about the 13 minutes close to the moon landing. Because they're coming up on the 50-year anniversary of the landing on the moon. Every week it spends about an hour discussing the 13 minutes that led up to what happened right as they landed on the moon, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dirty animals that make us smarter.
So when is the 50th anniversary?
Yeah, in July. This is a cool question. You probably like this one.
Now, I have a confession to make. I'm a bit of a sun worshiper. Okay, you got me there. I lied. I'm a big sun worshiper. I just love it. Everything just feels better when the sun's out. People smile more, and in the summer it feels like you're on one big holiday, even when you're at the office or at home. But when winter approaches and the days begin to get darker and the temperature starts to drop, I've got to admit I'm not at my best. Whilst there's no doubt scenes of snow-covered fields and mountains are all very beautiful, I used to hate those early winter mornings when I had to scrape the frost off the windscreen of my mum's car. I'd much prefer to stay within my comfort, a pleasant 24 degrees Celsius with a cocktail in hand, And this is probably all the more reason why I have the utmost admiration for the plants and animals out there that are able to live at temperatures that would freeze human blood. Hi, I'm Patrick Bailly, and welcome once more to 30 Animals That Made Us Smarter, an original podcast from the BBC World Service. It's a series a lot about animals, and also about us, humans all around the globe. It's about what we've learned from those animals and what they have taught us. How they have made us smarter. I'd also love to hear from you too. Let me know what you think about the series so far. Rate and review us. It helps others to find the podcast. And be sure to tag your social media posts with the hashtag 30animals.
Do you tag other people on podcasts?
In this, number 10,
Barely,
cod
sometimes.
and antifreeze, we'll be hearing how animals like cod and
If there's like a
snowflakes,
podcast
which are
that
able to survive
it's like about something that
sub-zero
two people
temperatures
were talking
without
about.
freezing, are
they're
inspiring
interested in
Yeah, I'll send it to
that
them
could
or
make
whatever.
enjoying ice cream even better, and extend the time that we can preserve transplant organs so that we can fly them
You'd be like,
further. And that
Is that sign?
Yeah.
That's what I did. Do you remember?
Before, yeah, but I was expecting you to do that again.
I saw it. Whatever.
So what's the big deal when it comes to plants and animals getting super cold? Well, the problem isn't necessarily the cold itself, but what happens to the water inside our bodies as a result of the cold. As the temperature falls below freezing, small ice crystals begin to form inside the cells of plants and animals. As these ice crystals grow, they draw water out of the surrounding cells, which destroys their structure and kills the cells. If you've ever left a bottle of juice in the freezer for too long, you'll know all too well what happens when the water expands as it freezes. You open the freezer door, looking forward to a really cold drink, but what you're faced with is the remains of a bottle and a horrible, cold, sticky mess to clean up. This is also the same reason why foods like berries turn to mush after being left to thaw out. It's because their cells have burst when they were frozen. However, many organisms have now been found to contain a group of unique molecules that scientists call antifreeze proteins, or AFPs for short, which have the ability to stop this damage. These AFPs are capable of lowering the freezing point of a solution, which keeps the ice crystals very small or prevents their formation altogether. Fish that live in the North or South Poles are a fantastic example of this. They live in temperatures of around -2 degrees Celsius all of their lives, and it's the AFPs in their blood that means the water in their bodies has a lower freezing point than the surrounding seawater, which enables them to survive icy temperatures that would kill most fish. So let's just step back a moment and think about what normally happens when water freezes. When water gets colder, it becomes denser until it reaches about 4 degrees Celsius. When water eventually turns into ice, it gets lighter and less dense. This is why ice floats on top of water. It also, as we mentioned before, expands, and it's this expansion which can cause materials to crack and rupture. If you've ever suffered from a burst pipe in the winter, you'll know all about this. It can be damaging to plant and animal cells too. The expansion of the water as it freezes can cause them to burst. But species that have antifreeze proteins can avoid this through a mechanism called antifreeze inhibition. Now what we think happens in very simple terms is that when these antifreeze molecules bind to an ice crystal, they divide the growth faces of the ice crystal into regions with curved faces. Water molecules can't easily bond to others, and so they remain as a liquid rather than being converted into solid ice. So the only way to get the water molecules to stay in these curved regions is to lower the temperature, which is the same as lowering the freezing point.
Those mushroom crawls over there, dog.
It's not just polar
Those
fish
mushroom
that
crawls over
possess
there.
this sub-zero
Look pretty
superpower.
nasty, you see them?
A whole host of plants and
Yeah,
animals
those look
have
nasty.
also developed strategies to survive freezing conditions. But let's stick with our fishy friends for now. Take the Atlantic
There's some
and
over there
Arctic
too.
cod species. as well as the Antarctic notothenians. Sorry, a bit of a mouthful. They live in seas that are really cold and really salty, and it's this combination of cold and salt that makes these seas quite a difficult place to live, to say the least.
An hour and a half.
But there's something
So I think
even
that's a storm
weirder.
that's coming this week.
We have
Severe
freezing
thunderstorm
cold
watch here.
seawater that isn't frozen. You see, when
Wonder how
salt
many
is
this has
dissolved
to be.
in water, it lowers its freezing point. For seawater, its freezing point drops to minus 1.9 degrees Celsius. So you'd think that this very cold seawater, which is a liquid, should instantly freeze the less salty water inside a fish's body, but it doesn't. So, how do the fish get around this? Well, it was a physiologist called Antifreeze who revealed that it was the action of sugary proteins called glycoproteins attaching themselves to ice crystals in the blood of Antarctic fish that was preventing the crystals from growing. This combined with the naturally occurring body salts meant the nototheniod fish studied were able to
You know
maintain
what, Ronnie?
blood
We might get hit by a
temperature
thunderstorm in Medicine Hat,
-2.5
but
degrees Celsius without freezing. Since the discovery of AFPs in the 1960s, there's been a lot of interest in their economic potential. One fascinating discovery is that the same antifreeze proteins that keep organisms from freezing in cold environments can, on the flip side, prevent ice from melting at warmer temperatures. A consumer goods company called Unilever caught on to this discovery and now uses ice structuring proteins, or ISPs, in some of their ice cream products. These ISPs work in a similar way to the AFPs found in our Antarctic fish, but rather than using fish stocks, they can be produced using genetically modified baker's yeast. The yeast contains a gene from a fish called the ocean pout, which is found in the northwest Atlantic Ocean and has antifreeze proteins in its blood. The result is an ice cream which maintains its shape for longer and melts much slower than normal as temperatures increase. If this seems like a rather niche use, it's worth noting that by 2024, the global ice cream market is projected to be worth an estimated, drumroll please, $74 billion US. But it's not just ice cream that antifreeze proteins can be used for. For many airlines, keeping their aircraft frost-free is a major challenge. Any delays due to ice on either passenger or freight planes incurs a cost, as well as the risk of potential damage to the plane. The longer the delay, the more expensive it becomes.
do you have room on that door?
In Germany, the Fraunhofer Institute for Manufacturing Technology and Advanced Materials is currently working on a variety of strategies for minimizing ice formation, including an anti-icing coating based on antifreeze proteins. These proteins would protect the surface of the plane from icing over and keep the planes moving, which has got to be good news for passengers and the airlines. And then there are power lines. Not only can the weight of ice bring the cables down, but it can also act as an insulator. The ice causes the wires to heat up, which means energy transmission becomes less efficient. Treating electric power lines and pylons with AFP coatings could potentially save utility companies millions of dollars in maintenance and repair costs alone, as well as improving energy efficiency. But perhaps the most exciting technology that's being developed is within the health sector, where AFPs could have a critical role in preserving organs and tissues destined for transplant. With more than 6,000 people waiting for a transplant in the UK alone, the possibility of transporting organs further afield, or even storing organs for longer periods of time, would be hugely beneficial. And one of the reasons why this might be possible is because scientists are now able to produce synthetic AFPs, and it's all thanks to snowflakes. You see, as I mentioned, it's not just some fish which have AFPs, so do snowfleas. Snowfleas aren't fleas at all, but in fact belong to a primitive group of organisms called springtails. Closely related to insects, they are wingless, have 6 legs, and move about by walking or jumping. Instead of using their legs to jump, they catapult themselves into the air by releasing a spring-like mechanism called a furcula, a sort of flap that folds under the abdomen until it's needed. When the furcula is released, the snow flea is launched several centimeters into the air, which is mighty impressive, especially when you consider that the snow flea is less than 2 millimeters in length. That's the equivalent of a human jumping over the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Not bad, right? Snow fleas live amongst the soil and leaf litter and feed on decaying vegetation and other organic matter. As their name suggests, they can survive in sub-zero temperatures. Professor Laurie Graham from Queen's University in Canada first noticed them whilst cross-country skiing and collected several to take back to her lab. It turns out that the snow flea is protected from freezing by antifreeze proteins that are rich in an amino acid, a building block of proteins, called glycine. Just like the cod we heard about earlier, this binds to ice crystals and prevents them from growing larger, so the snow flea's cells don't freeze. By isolating the protein, the scientists were able to study its structure more closely and develop artificially synthesized AFPs. So, how could these synthetic snow flea antifreeze proteins be helpful in organ transplants? Well, one of the challenges with organ transplants is that you want to keep the organs really cold, but not frozen. AFPs would allow the organs to be stored at lower temperatures without freezing them, and this extends the organ's shelf life between removal and transplant. In a race against time, this could make all the difference when it comes to saving a person's life. And that's just the first benefit, because then these AFPs which lose their structure at higher temperatures would degrade naturally when they've reached body temperature and quickly be cleared from the patient's system, reducing the possibility of any side effects. Now you might think our story ends there, but I'd like to leave you with a final thought. The research into antifreeze proteins is in its infancy, and there would appear to be a wide range of potential applications. We can only really advance and develop synthetic or chemically produced AFPs if we have organisms living and thriving in what are often to us remote, hostile and very cold areas. What we don't know is how climate change might affect many of these species that benefit from AFPs, and how environmental change may affect our development of this important technology. It's a cautionary warning that whilst we may want to explore the biodiversity of our planet,
can you pick up my phone and text somebody for me, please?
In number 11, Spider and Mars Improvement.
Derek Palmer.
Smarter. An original
No,
podcast.
just sir, I don't know where.
We'll be heading
How far he'll be in there.
to hear how a cartwheeling desert spider could lead the way when it comes to the next
Say, hey,
generation of
did they
robots
post any
on
more
Mars.
positions while I was gone?
Thanks for listening, and don't forget you can find all the sources of information for this episode on our website, bbcworldservice.com/30animals, and spread the word. It's #30animals.
So, did they post any more positions when I was...
Hello, my name is James
Good question.
and I'm the editor of 30 Animals that made us smarter. I wanted to let you know about a very special episode of the podcast that you'll be able to hear later in the year. We're recording the show live in London on the 12th of June 2019. We have
This is what
loved sharing the
John sent me.
amazing things humans have learned from the animal kingdom with this podcast. And we're really excited about the chance to share some of these stories.
Thank you.
So if you're in London and you'd like
Just
to
John.
join Patrick and the team, especially
John.
Named and Patrick at the BBC Radio.
So should just say LOL.
No, just leave it. It's nothing, Mom. It's an inside joke between me and John.
And if you can't make it, don't
I'll
forget
just be
to
like,
subscribe.
No, don't say anything.
I'll
Just,
say anything. Thank you.
Amazing, fascinating stories of inventions, ideas and innovations. Yes, this is the podcast of the things that have helped to shape our lives. Podcasts from the BBC World Service are supported by advertising. 50 things that made the
been warned. And now, over to you, Kate Monster.
Internet is really, really great.
More porn.
I've got a fast connection, so I don't have to wait.
More porn.
There's always something fun.
The Internet is for Porn, a song from the Broadway musical Avenue Q. Innocent kindergarten teacher Kate Monster is trying to celebrate the usefulness of the Internet for shopping and sending birthday greetings, while her surly neighbour Trekkie Monster insists that people really value it for more intimate activities.
Trekkie,
Hello, Kate Monster.
you are ruining my song.
Is Trekkie Monster right? Well, sort of, but no, not really. Credible seeming statistics suggest that about 1 in 7 web searches is for porn, which isn't trivial. But of course it means that 6 in 7 web searches are not for porn. The most visited porn website, Pornhub, is roughly as popular as the likes of Netflix and LinkedIn. That's pretty popular, but still only enough to rank 28th in the world. But Avenue Q was first performed in 2003, an age ago in internet terms, and Trekkie Monster might have been more correct back then. When they're new, technologies often tend to be expensive and unreliable. They need to find a niche market of early adopters, whose custom helps the technology to develop. Once it's cheaper and more reliable, it finds a bigger market and a much broader range of uses. There is a theory that pornography played this role in the development of the internet and a whole range of other technologies. So does the theory stack up? Since the very dawn of art, sex has been a subject. Prehistoric cave dwellers shared a muse with schoolboy doodlers, judging by their fondness for buttocks, breasts, vulvas, and comically large penises. Carvings of copulating couples date back at least 11,000 years to goat herders in Judea. But just because people use the arts and crafts to depict erotica doesn't mean it's There's no reason to think it was.
Really? Even Abby.
Even Abby was like,
Really?
Pioneering studios in Paris did a boring trade in art studies. A euphemism.
oh, she stopped.
Customers were
Yeah, it's
willing to
probably
pay to find a technology
Yeah.
at a time.
What was
It
that?
cost more
Pink
to
top?
buy an erotic photograph
Holy
than to hire a
Toledo.
prostitute. By the
Got
time the
it
next
off the
big
clanger.
technological breakthrough in artistic expression,
Bang.
moving pictures,
Yeah, that's so
the
fresh. That's the
word
first like,
pornography
the clanger.
had taken on its modern meaning.
oh, this yogurt
It's
side.
derived from the Greek
I don't
for
want
writing
this.
and prostitutes, and it now means, well, I know it when I see it, as the American judge Potter Stewart
I'm telling you, like, there's
said.
something brewing up again in
But
there.
porn didn't really drive
Really?
the movie industry, for obvious reasons.
I won't be able to close it because
Movies were
yogurt's in there.
expensive. You needed a big audience to recoup costs. That meant public viewings. And while many people paid to look at dirty pictures in the privacy of their home, far fewer people were comfortable watching a dirty movie in a public theatre. One solution
Did you feel
came in the
ashamed?
1960s with the peep show booth.
So what were they talking
An
about when you were
enclosed
like,
space where you'd
before I
put
let
a
drop
coin
that
to the
ball?
slot to keep a movie playing. One booth could bring in several $1,000s a week. But the real privacy breakthrough came thanks to the video cassette recorder, VCR. At first, VCRs were a hard sell, pricey, and they came in 2 incompatible formats, VHS and Betamax. Who would risk plunging a significant chunk of cash into a device that might soon be obsolete? People who really wanted to watch adult movies at home, that's who. In the late 1970s, more than half of videotape sales were pornographic. Within a few years, the technology was more affordable for people who wanted to watch family movies. The market expanded, and porn's share of it shrank. A similar story can be told about cable television and, yes, the internet. Older listeners might remember when getting online meant coaxing a dial-up modem into establishing a connection, then fretting about long-distance phone charges as it slowly chugged through a file that would nowadays download in the snap of a finger. What would motivate an ordinary person to persevere? You've guessed it. One 1990s study of Usenet discussion groups claimed that 5 in 6 images shared were pornographic. So in those days, Trekkie Monster wasn't far wrong. And as he suggests to Kate, appetite for porn helped to drive demand for faster connections, better modems, and higher bandwidth. It spurred innovation in other areas too. Online porn providers were pioneers in web technologies such as video file compression and user-friendly payment systems, and also in business models such as affiliate marketing programs. All these ideas went on to find much wider uses, and as the internet expanded, it gradually became less for porn and more for all that other stuff. Nowadays, the internet is making life hard for professional pornographers, just as it's hard to sell a newspaper subscription or a music video when so much is freely available online. It's hard to sell porn when sites like Pornhub are giving it away. Much of this free porn is pirated, and it's an uphill struggle to get the illegally uploaded content removed. But of course, what's bad for the content creators is good for the aggregator platforms, which make their money through advertising and premium subscriptions. The big player in porn at the moment is a company called MindGeek. It owns not only Pornhub, but 7 other top 10 porn websites. In Avenue Q, Trekkie Monster appears to do nothing all day but surf for porn. So the other characters are surprised when he reveals he's a multi-millionaire.
Wow! Trekkie, where'd you get all that money?
Volatile market, only stable investment is porn!
And once again, Trekkie Monster is nearly right, but not quite. For sure, there's money in porn, but the best way to make it may be to invest in the technologies that enable it and that it enables. In the past, in Parisian photo studios, or companies making VCRs or high-speed modems. Today, in MindGeek's algorithms that suggest content and keep eyeballs on screens. And what will Trekkie Monster be singing in the future? Robots of porn, perhaps. The role of sex in accelerating technology is unlikely to be finished yet.
To write this episode, we relied on the book The Erotic Engine by Patchen Bars. For a full list of our sources, please see bbcworldservice.com/50things.
In the summer of 1969.
Let's hear the son of a bitch tonight.
Previously on White Lies.
And then a car full of white men pulled up and stopped right behind the ambulance. I remember a rush of feeling, Clark, you just have to get out of here, just run.
I understand you wanted to talk to me about whatever it is. Leave me out of it.
I think they killed a man on the way to Birmingham. I just want to push all our way, will believe it.
But you notice every layer of the onion, there's something a little blacker than the first layer underneath. And you ain't, what, halfway through the onion yet?
Toward the end of the trial for the murder of Jim Reeve, the defense attorney Joe Pilcher spoke to reporters on the steps of the Dallas County Courthouse.
That Reverend Reeve did not receive proper medical attention, and that he was negligently, and you might almost say wantonly, committed to die.
Pilcher's defense strategy was to argue that the civil rights movement was in need of a white martyr. and that the attack on Jim Reeb, the Unitarian minister from Boston, had provided the perfect opportunity for the movement to get one. That somehow, some way, the movement had conspired to kill Reeb.
You said this morning in court that they willfully let him die. That was my statement. Yes. You mean that? I mean that the evidence indicates that, yes, sir.
When the reporter pushed him on this claim, "Did you really mean that, sir?" Pilcher replied, "That's what the evidence indicates. Look at the evidence."
That evidence Pilcher presented at trial, that's what Saul Tepper documented in his open letter to make the case for the conspiracy theory that the movement had had a hand in killing Jim Reeb. We told you last episode about Tepper, Selma's notorious propagandist. Here he is in an interview he did with a historian in the 1980s.
Well, Selma was the most integrated place in...
Hello?
United States anyway. We love the black people. Yeah, you may not believe that. We got along with them. Black people live right next to them. I mean, some of them lived in my backyard. When it come to forcing it down our throat, that's what we resented, I guess, was possible.
Yeah, I know. So that open letter Saul Tepper wrote in early 1966, the letter we were given in the Confederate Memorial Circle. In that letter, Tepper makes three main claims to prop up the conspiracy theory about Reeb. So we decided to fact-check these claims. And as we were doing this, we looked for the tape recordings Tepper mentioned in the letter.
Remember, Tepper claimed to know so much about the case because, he wrote in the letter, the judge allowed him to tape record the entire trial. Tepper's passing mention of these tapes was like a dangling thread. A thread that we hoped could connect us back to that moment in 1965. But once we started pulling on this thread, we realized it had become woven into the fabric of life here in the years since. And so as we followed the thread, we began to unravel a strange and illuminating story about Selma, then and now. From NPR, this is White Lies. I'm Chip Brandon.
And I'm Andrew Beck-Reese.
Support for this NPR podcast and the following message come from BetterHelp. BetterHelp offers licensed professional counselors who specialize in issues such as depression, stress, anxiety, and more. Connect with your professional counselor in a safe and private online environment at your convenience. Get help at your own time and your own pace. Schedule secure video or phone sessions, plus chat and text with your therapist. Visit BetterHelp.com/whitelies to learn more and get 10% off your first month. Support also comes from ADT, America's trusted home security provider, providing secure smart homes, custom designed with everything from video doorbells, indoor and outdoor cameras, smart locks and lights, and professionally monitored carbon monoxide and smoke detectors, all controlled by the sound of your voice or on the go with the ADT Go app. Learn more at ADT.com.
Mitch McConnell has become a champion for conservatives. But back in the day, he once got support from groups like labor unions.
I marked it down as one of the worst things I've ever done in my life.
So you thought about it over the years?
Oh, I still think about it every time I see his face.
Mitch McConnell. New series from Embedded. Subscribe now.
In the winter of 1965, Vicki Levi was a medical student at Yeshiva University in Queens when she heard about an opportunity to go provide medical care for civil rights workers in the South. She'd never been south before.
You know, there were so many different impressions that I had, but it was, we're going into a different world, clearly into a different world, where you were singled out as being somebody who should be targeted. That was my feeling, that this is treacherous country.
She was in Selma for Bloody Sunday and was herself chased after the march by state troopers and Sheriff Jim Clark's posse. She escaped by running into the
see if the Connex is open
and hiding behind their couch. During her time in Selma, she
the Connex, remember John recommended to come.
Oh, what's it called?
Connex.
How is it?
C-A-N-E-X.
Turn right.
C-A-N-E-X.
The first Connex tried to predict movement martyr.
Mechanics
Here they took
in what?
It'll, you know,
Just say
just search by location and it'll
has
come
3
up.
fine hospitals, very modern.
Continue on current road for about 3
in
kilometers.
Calgary?
Burwell
No.
Infirmary. The Burwell Infirmary is not even classified in the modern sense as an up-to-date hospital, but it is an old wooden structure that reminds me of a rundown residence.
I write in my note here,
Mechanics, Ralston, Alberta?
all Negro institution, understaffed, overcrowded, run down.
Open till 8 p.m.
I figured they'd be open. Text John and ask him if he wants anything from mechanics.
It wasn't even a hospital. It was a kind of rundown.
What?
One of
Text
Selma's
John and ask him if he wants anything from mechanics in Suffield.
Reed could have gone anywhere. 2 of Selma's 3 hospitals were for white people only. And even though Reed was white, he was there in support of black voting rights. And in the same way, Jim Reed's reason for being in Selma made him unwelcome in white-owned restaurants.
In
Taking him to a white hospital
Suffield.
wasn't even considered. Remember, Reed was attacked just 2 days after Bloody Sunday.
It's in
And
Ralston.
those who needed medical attention after the attack
Text John and ask him
Okay,
what
okay, Suffield.
were
How do
treated
you
in
write it?
Selma's black
S-U-F.
F
After Bloody Sunday,
L-E-D?
I-E-L-D.
I-E-L-D.
they did not take them to a white hospital. They put them in black people's because they're being here to support us or support Selma.
That's Vera Booker. She works as a nurse at Good Samaritan, a recently renovated hospital run by the city's Catholic mission. Mickey Levi also wrote about Good Samaritan in her report on medical conditions in Selma.
The Good Samaritan Hospital, built and run by Selma's Catholic mission, has a policy of serving all races, but which in reality is used only by
Because this is Canadian Forces Base Suffield in Ralston, Canada.
So the choice of where to take Reed really came down to the Burwell or the Good Samaritan Hospital. So why wasn't Reed taken to Good Samaritan? It's a good question. The main reason is that Burwell had been a fixture in the black community for decades, and black ambulance drivers were generally loyal to what had been, for a long time, the only black clinic in town.
Burwell was on a little black hospital for years.
Are you kidding me, or?
Before Good Samaritan was at Burwell.
Oh, plus there's an Esso here
In
too.
fact, one of the drivers who transported Reed, his
parts,
mother,
Ronnie.
owned and ran Burwell for over 40 years. So that's where Reed was taken, to the Burwell Infirmary. For this to seem strange, you'd have to ignore decades of habit and tradition.
What are we in here for?
When Reed arrived at Burwell, he was first examined by a nurse named
Take a look around.
What were your thoughts
Yeah.
as you began to
Yeah, I'm definitely
What's
gonna be.
here then?
This is the,
Definitely gonna be driving here.
What's here then?
this is, there's a lot of British forces here. So John said they have a lot of British stuff at the grocery store here. Go in and have a look around then. Oh, she's up. Go.
Come in? You want to come in? You want to come in?
Alright.
Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. Let me get this out then, huh? I can't.
Bunch of shelves for
Empty.
yeah.
See the food over there, this brown look on his face, and Dr.
I just hate it when it gets all twisted up and raw. Then you have to retwist it back again.
Yeah, I know,
Proceed to the highlighted route. Then the route guidance will
Oh, I thought
start.
there was something outside what talking to
And there wasn't one in all of Selma. So Tepper's first claim
have
to
it,
Reed's
Martina,
death
just-
was
I'm
hastened by
twisting this
intentionally
thing.
taking him to an inferior clinic. It's simply wrong. Good Samaritan or Burwell did
Both
not
of them. What are the chances in
Reed
that,
would have been
Ron?
sent to
What the
Birmingham,
hell?
regardless of where
Sorry,
he was
Mom.
sent himself.
Saul Tepper died in 1995, but his letters,
Give him minutes. You're all
counter-narrative
twisted
against
up like
Spells,
skin.
it kept going.
Okay.
And so we kept going too.
I know.
And that always led us back to the tapes Tepper allegedly wrote. When we got in touch with his family, still living around Selma, they said, nope, don't know anything about tapes. But then a Tepper family friend we talked to mentioned that Saul's lawyer was at one time a man named Austin Keith.
Here we go. Gosh, both of them I had to undo large.
But his son, who's also a lawyer, whose name is also Austin Keith, said he had some of his dad's old files in the storage unit behind his law office. It had been years since anyone had set foot in it. Around the office, they referred to it as the jungle. Austin Keith Jr.
Here we
didn't think he
go.
had it. It would have belonged to Saul. But he was interested.
Oh my gosh, it's a good thing you stopped here, Ronnie, because I don't know
You
where.
don't know if you're gonna make it?
Nope. Because as soon as I got to the door, I was like, it was coming in fast. It's all this crap. We haven't been really eating properly.
Yeah,
you
there
know
was
what I
one
mean?
is there for like $49.99, the regular $69.99, and then they were $89 something.
You can get that from the Canex in Winnipeg.
Oh, you saw his text?
Yeah.
Where?
Oh, you got some?
17 wing.
Did you get some?
No, they didn't have any. No.
It's a shop.
Yeah.
And you said to her already that you didn't have any?
Yeah.
I didn't see anything really good, I'll tell you that.
No, it looks like they're out of stock.
They're out of stock, some of the things are empty.
Yeah.
I would have got some chocolate, English chocolate was there.
Well, John said usually there's about 4 rows of just British stuff. And all they had there was shortbread and frickin' cassava chips, yeah. They had about 6 different kinds of shortbread.
What is fancy? Fruit and nuts, a whole nut.
Continue on current road for about 3 kilometers.
Yeah, it feels weird.
Fruit and nuts, a whole nut. And you would like that. It's milk chocolate from the UK or something. You would like it.
I feel so bad. The thing is, I tried to reflush the toilet, but like seeds in there.
You know I'm talking about food, don't you? No, we don't need the FOU.
We did find some fossils
Up in time now.
but I also only want to get it by the
Yeah. Okay, you want to read the story?
She might want water.
Okay. I'm ready? When the llama needs haircuts, right? The llama needed a haircut. Yes, a haircut. Oh, I have to catch you first because you need to cut your hair.
Good thing the window wasn't open.
I checked.
Nothing.
Look at your window, Mum.
Eh?
Look at your window.
What happened to that? It's a good job my window was closed, Jay, and it got soaked.
I checked, don't worry.
I know, I've got a whole bottle of it here. It tastes like sewer water. I put that on mine after I've tasted sewer water, but
this one tastes good. This one
tasted funny.
I got some water from the Canex. Yeah. For Munchkin.
Once upon a time, the llama needed a haircut.
Possibly non-existent recording so that it seemed real. So that
It's drawing up really quick, Rod tells me that it's really, holy shit, it's 31,
but after a while of searching, even I could see the temperature.
In 700 meters, turn left onto Trans-Canada Highway.
I didn't want to admit it really, but Andy was getting cold and hungry. When he gets cold and hungry, he gets fussy.
This is really stupid.
In 300 meters,
yeah,
turn left
fresh water.
onto Trans-Canada Highway.
No, okay.
No.
I'll hold it up and hang it up.
Last time I was like, no. She's really good, actually, Rod, for telling her not to grab stuff. She just wanted the Dorito
Sometimes
bag.
when I find myself
But when it came to the stuffy, she grabbed one and she was cuddling it.
I'm reminded of Raymond
She's like,
Chandler's
no, don't take it away. And I'm like, Mom, can you please give me some rain? She gave it to me, and then she kept going back to the stuffies. I'm like, no, Munchkin, leave that there. And she's like, oh, she walked
Stories
away.
invariably start with Marlon minding his own business until trouble walks into his office. He knows
For some reason, she likes those Dorito bags. I
help
guess the
himself.
noise, right?
And soon things have spiraled far
Look at her,
beyond
it's
his
like
Continue
a
on
pillow
current road
feeling
for
kind
about
of too, 'cause it's full
45
of air.
kilometers.
He is the trouble. He walks into my office and turns everything upside down.
There's a train.
Saul Tepper's second big claim in his letter is that those with Reed intentionally delayed getting him to University Hospital in Birmingham. That they permitted him to die so that the civil rights movement would have a white martyr to help get voting rights legislation passed. The first 90 minutes between 7:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. when Reed is still inside Selma city limits, this part of the timeline is mostly undisputed by Tepper. The part of the trip that he's zeroes in on comes next as the ambulance sets off up Highway 22 for Birmingham. You may remember that the ambulance had a flat tire outside of town, and this incident will become the focal point for this part of Tepper's alternate theory of the night.
Tepper cites a defense witness named John South, who testified that night he'd stopped in at a filling station on his way home from work when he saw an ambulance drive by. An ambulance was driving very slowly. It was headed in the same direction as South's house, so what the heck, he followed it. But something strange happened. The ambulance turned around and headed back toward town, so South did too. And when the ambulance pulled into the parking lot of the radio station, South was right behind it. He went up to the ambulance and asked the driver of the ambulance what the deal was. Flat tire, the driver said. But this is perhaps the most crucial part of the defense's case. South will testify at the trial that he checked the ambulance and found no flat tire. Remember, the trial was in December of '65.
She did
a full 9 months after the
I guess you guys got her up.
South refused to give a statement to the FBI, but told the agent that he had already given a
I want her to kind of get back into the routine of
just
sleeping
10 days after
6 to 7 o'clock or whatever.
What?
Well, it's 6:30 right now.
Oh yeah, 6
After some back and forth with the state police, they finally found the report we were looking for. And after some wrangling, they allowed us to see the files in a nondescript conference room in an office tower in downtown Montgomery. They wouldn't let us copy the files, but they did allow us to bring our tape recorder. So we basically narrated the entire contest to one another, while a staffer who'd been assigned to be our minder sat at the end of the conference table playing a game on her phone.
The statement of John H. South, white male, Route 4, Box 498, Selma, Alabama. Asked the Negro male on the passenger side what the trouble was.
The blue one?
Yeah.
Understood him to say he was having tire or car trouble.
That must be.
There were 3
What? That was like
back,
that was like 2 days ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's
I again asked what the trouble was, and Ace Anderson told me they had a man.
Oh, what the hell's going on there? Is it all lagged down?
About 20-30 minutes later, another ambulance drove up.
Remember this car from like 2 days ago, Mom? The blue.
Oh yeah.
Say he was having tire
It is to the same one. No way, Rod. Look at that.
But nothing else. He doesn't say that he didn't see a
Guess
flat.
they're going back to Manitoba
During his
now,
testimony in trial, he will say he specifically
moved
checked
this side
all
because
4
the car
tires
was
and
on that
observed
side, that's
no tire trouble.
You wouldn't think from reading that that John South would turn out to be
Okay, come on, man. Like I saw you wanted to signal over.
star witness.
That's one of our producers, Connor O'Neill.
Oh,
And Connor's right. This crucial
At the
piece of
end of the
evidence
night,
to substantiate the defense's claims of negligent and wanton treatment of Reed. Nowhere to be found in this document. His only statement to law enforcement.
The ambulance driver, Ace Anderson, he's clear about the flat tire in his statement to state investigators. Let's go through this. This is Ace Anderson's statement.
The 2 ministers, the Reverend Reed, myself, Dr. Victor Reed Chapman, left en route to Birmingham. I'd gone about 2 miles when my right rear tire blew out.
Right rear tire?
That's
what it was.
Up to this time, no one had
All the men with Reeb gave sworn statements to investigators about the flat tire. Reeb's 2 companions, Orloff Miller and Mark Olson, the driver, Ace Anderson, the doctor, William Deakins, and they also noted that as they waited for the second ambulance, Selma police and sheriff deputies arrived at the radio station. So just play that out for a second. If there were a functional ambulance idling in the parking lot with an unconscious civil rights activist in the back,
I believe
every one of the ambulances claiming a non-existent flat,
I mean, they're everywhere,
why
but I
don't the
believe they're
police
based out of
testify to
Winnipeg.
this later? Why don't they corroborate the account of South and say loudly and clearly there was no flat tire on that ambulance? And there's something else about this incident. There was another witness at trial who corroborated South's testimony about the flat tire.
What are the chances of
He was the owner of the filling station where South had been hanging out when he saw the ambulance pass by. The man's name was Charles Buchanan. In his letter, Tepper refers to Buchanan as a reputable witness. But in the 1980s, during an interview with a historian, Tepper himself said something revealing about Buchanan's service station.
In fact, he used to be a little filling station right out of Selma, Buchanan service station. Some planning gallon and drink beer.
So Buchanan woman's service station where South had been hanging out that night, it was a known Klan hangout. And John South was a member of Sheriff Jim Clark's notorious posse, hardly an unbiased witness. Here's what the driver of the second ambulance told state investigators on March 11, 2 days after the attack. He picks up the story from the time he gets the call from the radio station. Tuesday was the 9th of March, approximately 9:15 when we got the call. We arrived in front of the WGWC radio station on Highway 22 north of Selma, approximately 9:25. We made the switch from Anderson's ambulance to our ambulance. The city police arrived just prior to me. There are two more. It was a little Cosmopolitan Rambler, and there seemed to be a 63 four-door Impala sedan.
So it's at 9:15.
9:15 is when they get the call, and then they arrive at 9:25. Changing ambulances, moving Reeves' stretcher, that takes maybe 10 minutes. So they leave the radio station around 9:35, and they arrive in Birmingham by 11. From the radio station to the hospital is exactly 84 miles, and mostly on dark, rural back roads, through small towns, in a hearse, doubling for an ambulance. An hour and 20 minutes for a trip that usually takes 2 hours, they were flying. Here's Orloff Miller.
And we careened around those curves at 60 and 70 miles an hour on the back roads until we finally got to a main highway. We did get a police escort for a few miles on the main highway from State Patrol. And we actually hit 110 miles an hour in one way for Birmingham.
Tepper's version of events on the radio station set that story in the context of multiple corroborated statements from others who were there too, and it falls apart completely.
110 miles an hour, it's like 170, 180 miles. And they were flying on that in a big old Cadillac
is by far
from the 60s with a guy dying in the back.
It's what Pilcher, the defense attorney, had hinted at during the trial. That Jim Reeves' companions had not just let Reeves die, but had instead played an active role in his murder. Clearly, it's what the juror Billy Boozer believed at the time and believes to this day.
I think they killed a man.
Actually, it's a different one, Ron, because the back of the plates was
It's a
different.
theory meant to absolve white Selma for any responsibility for violence. And it turns out this kind of theory used during
It was blocking it perfectly where you could read that it was Manitoba, friendly Manitoba. And and then when we got closer, it was kind of faded out. And when we got closer, you could see it was Manitoba plates, right?
Bill Baxley is a former Attorney General of
And it was a chick driving it this time.
In 1977, he gained the first conviction for one of the men who had planted the bomb at the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, which had killed 4 little
because I would remember the colorful plate, the colorful trim on the plates.
Later we got copies of Birmingham Police and Jefferson County Sheriff's files, and it was incredible.
It's your wedding for the 24th
Most
of
of the stuff
August.
in that, all the 3 files.
Who has?
Genevieve, where's that?
Most of
In Manitoba.
Genevieve is half an hour, about 25 minutes northeast of Winnipeg. That's where my friend from work, she's moving there.
By Morris.
No, Morris is way up south. This one is northeast.
So give me another place that I may know.
Lac Bonnet, maybe, in that area. No, Lac Bonnet, a bit further.
And sometimes those stories take on.
Yeah,
Sort of, more north.
That's Doug Jones. Today he's the junior senator
what day
from Alabama. But in the early 2000s, as a U.S. attorney based in Birmingham,
what day is Roxanne's wedding?
against 2 other
The 27th.
And so now when you
I thought it was the 29th.
No, wait a minute. The 24th is when her wedding is.
narrative other than Robert Chambliss, Bobby Frank Jerry, and Tommy White. Oh, that church. Once you can establish those facts.
Whose wedding is that
Once
one?
you can demonstrate those.
Whose wedding is that?
There are always
It's just the client and you don't know them.
most people
No, but who's going to do that?
Pay the deposit of $50 she trusted.
Well,
The Alabama investigators had wasted their time.
So it'll be a $50 travel expense there and back.
They could have been looking for the Klansmen who actually commanded the
well, who's going to stay with
next
Abby,
year in
Mom?
Mississippi, when
On the
3 civil rights workers
24th.
were
We told
missing,
you about it a while
governors
ago.
speculated that they had fled to Cuba.
Because we're going to my cousin's wedding on the 24th.
And in 1965, Jim Reed was attacked in Selma.
Alright, well then.
We'll have to figure something out.
We'll figure something out, yeah.
Movement itself went out of hand in his
Alright.
But where Pilcher had only hinted at this theory, Tepper's
What?
letter raised the claim.
It's on the 24th of August. I need to change interesting because it's dying right now.
To justify this claim, Tepper
I want to see where
isolated one
Genevieve
part
is.
of
That's
Dr.
why.
William Deacon's testimony. That in his examination of him, he thought maybe the injury was just a bruise. What Tepper fails to mention is that this was the first thought Deacon's had at the very beginning of the examination. It was just a provisional diagnosis, a starting point. Then Tepper skips over the next phase of Deacon's examination. In a statement to the FBI, Deakins describes how he felt around the wound and began to suspect a skull fracture, how he ordered an x-ray to be taken. Right after
that's what I'm looking right now.
the x-ray room, Deakins saw evidence of a blood clot.
Say
How,
Genevieve.
in a matter of minutes, Deakins had determined that Reed was severely injured and needed to get to Birmingham to see a neurosurgeon.
Oh, okay.
When we interviewed two of the university hospital doctors who treated Reed, they said his symptoms were classic.
Off the Trans-Canada Highway, north of Steinbach. That's where it is. Say Genevieve. Yeah.
Easy to find then.
This is Alan Deming, the admitting physician.
I thought it was more north. I thought it was more northeast.
And the neurosurgeon had to operate on that. And again, because of the head injury, he was unconscious.
And this is James R. James, the neurosurgeon who operated on him.
No.
John recently was told the judge
Lucas are not questions. Lucas are
We'll have to figure something out, right?
what they call empty duel. He was told empty.
Maybe it's happening for a reason. Maybe the wedding is actually going to happen. Well, Mom knew about it, right? Because we told them.
These kinds of injuries generally cause the brain to bleed slowly. So the symptoms, headache, confusion, loss of consciousness, and eventually life-threatening pressure on the brain, they develop over time. This explains why Jim Reed was able to, with help, get up and stumble to safety.
Hi. Hi.
John and then right?
But the story Tepper told, it didn't track those worsening symptoms over time. Instead, Tepper froze time and pulled out 2 frames from them. That first instant of Deacon's examination when he thought there might only be a bruise, and then the moment Reed was placed on the operating table in Birmingham, when the brain injury was clearly life-threatening. Tepper's reasoning here is like one of those stop-motion special effects from an old silent film, like the magician making his assistant disappear under the tablecloth. But what we found is this. Jim Reed was hit hard on the head with a club, and then, after a mad scramble to get him the medical care he needed, there was nothing anyone could do to save him.
Can you think of anybody else? Can't think of Corinne. Candace.
Maybe, yeah.
Lost Candace.
We'll be right back.
Even, right?
This message comes from NPR sponsor Ridge Wallet. Looking for a Father's Day gift? The Ridge is the wallet gift. Its innovative design uses premium materials like titanium and carbon fiber and has over 30,000 5-star reviews. The Ridge Wallet comes with a lifetime warranty if you love it and free returns if you don't. Find the perfect gift at ridge.com/NPR and get 10% off with code NPR.
What you want now?
This message comes from NPR sponsor Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build an online presence and run your business. Create your company's website using customizable layouts, along with features including e-commerce functionality and and Squarespace offers built-in search engine optimization. Go to squarespace.com/NPR for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code NPR to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
In July, August. Okay, no, so
This message comes from NPR sponsor Broken Hearts, a podcast from Glamour and iHeartRadio about the perfect blended family found dead in a murder-suicide that shocked their friends and made national headlines. Glamour editors Justine Harmon and Elizabeth Egan investigate the complex stories and left a privilege, but left a nation puzzled at the family they never knew. Binge all the episodes of Broken Hearts, that's HARTS, now on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
That Tepper succeeded in persuading white people in 1965 is not surprising.
Why is the bill 209 for an MTS rod?
And casting themselves as the victims allowed them to close ranks and cling to power however they could.
I don't know.
It freed them from any obligation to ever recognize what really happened to Jim Reed.
Oh,
And the
yes,
counter
that's
in
right,
the
that's
letter
right, that's
is
right.
a term.
That's
Because
right.
it operates on an
Yeah,
emotion.
I remember now. Yeah,
not
that's
an
totally
affect.
what it is.
There you go. Okay.
We got in the habit of just asking everybody we talked to if they knew anything about the Tepper tapes. Ever hear anything about Old Man Saul recording the Reed trial? Did you ever see a big recorder in Judge Moore's courtroom? It was our lame, occasionally awkward version of Columbo's Just One More Thing game. Except, unlike in Columbo, the technique never paid off. Not, at least, as it related to our search for the tapes. But we did hear some stories about Saul.
I've interviewed Saul, mainly about putting fluoride in the water, or red pool, as they call it. They had quite a group of people that were against fluoride in the water.
Saul Tepper there was his word. The Teppers, or some of them had colorful nicknames. Kooky Tepper was one. Somebody, if you want to talk to a crazy Tepper, you ought to go see Saul Tepper in Selma. So that's what I found.
He was out in the woods and he got involved with an actual chainsaw and cut a big hunk of his foot off, perhaps even half. And he grabbed it and took it to the hospital hoping they could sew it back on, and they stopped the bleeding and said, no, we can't do anything with it. They just flipped it over in the garbage on his way out.
And to see him, you wouldn't think he had a dime, multi-millionaire. He wore old Rustler boots that cost $6.95 a pair, maybe. Bought a new truck every year and a half, and tore it up going across the cow pasture. You see an old white man come down the street in a brand new truck with like he'd been in demolition derby with it. You know, with the cow looking on it and some of this stuff.
Morris, Manitoba. Cool.
Stories like these can be seductive sometimes, because in their absurdity, they seem to be describing someone who is not real. But Saul Tepper was a real person. The person who spread the conspiracy theory to absolve White Selma. Then one day, we were talking with Kim Ballard, the probate judge in Selma who was nearing retirement, but who's been on the scene for decades, and had been described as one of those people we had to talk to get the lay of the land in Selma. And suddenly, our wild goose chase started to pay off.
Yeah, one of the rumors that we've heard about the trial in '65 was that Saul Tepper Sr., who is now deceased, got permission from Judge Moore to set up an audio recording station and basically get tape of the whole trial.
Heard that Jim Rutledge is the one that taped it. Jim Rutledge, he's dead now. He was an avid photographer who would recordings. I've heard that.
Yeah, what I mean, did he, someone who takes a lot of pictures and was into recording, probably kept all that stuff.
No.
Basically.
The houses that they lived in is for sale. They had a place out back, a garage or something.
Did you see any big recordings of Jim Reed, 1965 written on it?
I can't talk about it.
I don't know if there's a phrase to describe going down a rabbit hole and then going down an entirely different rabbit hole while you're still down the first rabbit hole, but that's what happened to us after hearing the name Jim Rutledge.
Some people called him Jim.
I think that's what it
called him
was,
Rutledge.
yeah.
His wife called him by his middle name, Calhoun. And for reasons that are still unclear to us, a lot of other people called him Turkey Bill. Anybody who knew Turkey Bill will tell you he was a mechanical genius. Somebody who could disassemble, fix, put back together any machine. Turkey Bill loved antique cars, collecting them, restoring them. The thing Turkey Bill is most known for around Selma is the so-called atomic car he built. The details are murky, but legend has it that Turkey Bill had an inside source at the hospital in Selma who would pass along radioactive material, which he used to somehow power a small Chevy truck. The story goes that eventually the feds got wind of what was going on, came to Selma to investigate. But Turkey Bill had worked for a time with the Selma Police Department, and someone tipped him off that he was being investigated. So Turkey Bill puttered down to the bluff and pushed his supposedly atomic car into the Alabama River. That's just some of what we heard during the weeks we were down the Jim Rutledge rabbit hole. But that same day we talked to the probate judge, Kim Ballard. Actually, it was right after we talked to him. We went looking for traces of Turkey Bill.
Alright.
So this is, what street is this?
Well, we're on McLeod. No, we're on McLeod to your right.
So the address you got was from the phone book, and it was at the,
It was Jim Rutledge in the phone book. Which makes sense.
It could have been the same
That
one,
maybe his wife just
I'm looking at that license plate. I seem to remember that license plate.
and then when she died, maybe prepaid.
It's 100 years.
But yeah, it's phone book also.
Okay, so that's 627. Oh, that's it, 619.
Looks abandoned.
Yeah, it does. It's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, the house and the garage out back were empty. We talked to a neighbor who said that Rutledge's daughter had held an estate sale a year or so before. The man who handled the estate sale was named Robert Gordon. She also suggested talking to another neighbor who had known Turkey Bill. So I called her from the car. Andy was sitting next to me and could hear bits of what she was saying. The tapes exist. I think they exist. She's like
a lifetime ago right here.
Which is interesting.
Hey, the going down the hill, she's got her arms going up like that.
She said you made me
The tapes are not a lie. Shit just got very interesting. If those tapes exist, that is like, wow. What a beautiful day in Selma, Alabama.
So we called Jordan Needham, the guy Turkey Bill's neighbor said had heard the tapes and possibly made copies.
Watch it now.
Come on, tapes.
Hello. I'm trying to reach George Needham. Needham told me that when he moved to Selma in the 1990s, Rutledge was one of the first people he met. They bonded when they realized they had both restored Rolls Royces. They were both into cars, both really into mechanical things in general. I was speaking earlier today with some people in Selma about some tapes I'm looking for, and your name came up as somebody who might possibly know something about these tapes. A, whether they exist or not, and B, if they ever exist or whether they're still around. I told him about Saul Tepper, about Tepper's claims that recorded the Reed trial, about how it could have been Rutledge.
Yeah, it was a nice hotel, right?
He didn't know about the Tepper tapes, but he did know that Rutledge had made other tape recordings during the sale. In fact, at the request of the Dallas County Sheriff Jim Clark, he had installed a secret recording device in the pulpit of Brown Chapel AME, the nerve center of the Civil Rights Movement.
He put a bug in the pulpit, and he made 10 hours of recordings of what was going on.
It was an open secret if the pulpit was bugged, and eventually movement leaders would talk directly into the bug to mess with Sheriff Clark. So if it was Rutledge who placed this recording device at Brownie, it seems within reason that Rutledge could have been the one who helped
Jay, can I give her this one? Cheese and crackers.
And it could have been.
Which one?
Yeah.
It really could have been.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because he was that kind of a guy. So it is entirely
It's bloated from being in the mountains.
Down in the pressure.
Yeah.
You better open that because I can't open it.
Because the packet is bloated, eh? So.
He was in charge of the landing.
Mama's opening it. Mommy is opening it.
Every airport has a landing system.
Little
Right.
lady.
He was in charge of that. Just before you get there, there's a concrete building off to the side. That would be a hidey hole if there's anything.
And that, right there, that incidental, oh yeah, don't think this is cogent comment from George Needham, that is how we ended up spending a day searching through the cream-colored concrete bunker that was Turkey Bill's last hidey hole.
This building smells like your grandma's house.
Remember Dan from last episode? Our chaperone at the decommissioned Air Force Base?
This is so far afield from where we started, but it's worth it.
Isn't that where the best were?
Exactly.
You had no clue.
That's what. If not, we're screwed.
Now, were y'all having many people you run into that just don't want to talk?
Yep. As you might imagine.
Are more of them older than younger? The younger people don't know anything to talk about. And then the older people are kind of that generation, shut up, and everybody will die off and nobody will know anything in a few more years.
A little bit of that. Also just people saying, what good is talking about any of this stuff going to do? For any of us.
I think to some degree, it's helpful to discuss it.
If you don't have a factual portrayal of what happened, I think you are bound to repeat it. If you document it and learn from a mistake, are you less likely to make the same mistake again? Or do we wait 60 years and forget we did it and it repeats itself? But that just, I'm convinced this town can't be because the ones with blood on their hands die and the ones with scars die. Maybe the next generation can clean it up. One side's got blood on their hands and the other side's got scars. It's hard to forgive and forget at that moment.
I think this might be the evidence that they've been looking for. Electric car into the river, April 6, 1984. Shit. Oh my god. Oh man. I like that he said electric car too.
Right, supposedly it had a small nuclear reactor to generate electricity.
Yes, we confirm for posterity that Turkey Bill did in fact push his supposedly nuclear-powered Chevy into the Alabama
I didn't know that was the world's tallest TP.
There in his hidey hole, we did not find the Tepper tapes. And not finding them here, in this last best shot, it felt like waking up from a long, strange dream. But it turns out, we weren't awake just yet. It was all about to get curiouser and curiouser.
Come on.
Yeah, this is Robert Gordon in Selma. Call me at the shop. Okay,
We had totally forgotten about Robert Gordon. He's the antiques dealer who managed the Rutledge family estate sale.
In 2 kilometers, take Dunmore Road on the right.
During the sale. And talking about Saul Tepper jogged a memory of a guy he called one of Saul's disciples who was living out in Texas somewhere. The guy's name was Jowers, William Jowers. I called William Jowers one morning when I was on the outskirts of Selma. I wasn't recording, but once he started talking, I pulled over to take notes and called Andy to tell him what Jowers had said.
And he was described as a disciple.
Yeah, definitely like a disciple of Saul, slightly younger disciple of Saul. So, guy in
I'm gonna have to pack munchkin because I know she's starting to get along right.
Went into my kind of rambling cold call explanation of
In 1 kilometer, take Dunmore Road on the right and then keep left.
and he goes, okay, let me talk, it's my turn now. And so he says, first of all, tapes exist. I have heard them.
Oh my god.
And I was just like, what? He's like, yeah, I heard them.
Take Dunmore Road on the right and then keep left.
In the late 80s, early 90s, we made a time capsule.
Oh my Jesus.
God, are you serious? We put the time capsule in the concrete pillars that we put the cannons on in the Confederate circles in Old Live Cemetery.
This is gotta be kidding me.
Tepper, that was one of the things.
Keep left onto Dunmore Road and then turn left.
Cassette tape that he made of the Jim Reed trial. So I was like, cassette tapes like you put in a boom box? And he's like, yeah, that's what we listen to. And, he said the time capsule, he said, I don't know what's happened to it because they renovated that part of the cemetery. And when they renovated that, and I don't know what they did with it. But he said they put us.
Turn left onto South Boundary Road Southeast.
When were people instructed to open? He said never. He's like, we just put it in there as a relic, and we didn't have any instructions for anybody to open it.
Rolling through those 6 crypts.
I don't know what to do with that.
Which felt very Selma.
It does. It feels very Selma, but also just like, what? I just don't even, that doesn't even, I can't, that comes
in 400 meters, turn right onto Ross Glen Drive Southeast.
So the deal was that at what point were they like, you know what would be really great about this time capsule? To never open it.
That means be capable of strong winds, gusts, large hail, and heavy rain. Around 9 o'clock tonight.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next?
Well, I think Pat got it.
Turn right onto Ross Glen Drive Southeast.
president of Selma Chapter 53 of the United Daughters of the Confederacy and a friend of Forrest. The very person who gave
The destination is on your right.
and reminded her that we had met before. When I told her I was working with NPR, she said, "I'm sorry," and then called it one of the world's largest communist organizations. I really wish we could play Pat's voice for you right now.
I remember now.
This
It took me a minute of where were we? This is I think this is where I got her infection bug.
So, what might have happened to the cannon pencil containing
it
the
doesn't
time
work,
capsule?
but you
Well, I'm gonna try it again.
Yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about. That renovation was mostly my doing.
And if not, I'll just plug it in there. Oh, look at the little ground squirrel.
No, she said, of course it wasn't destroyed. It's property of Selma Chapter 53 of the UDC.
Just plug it in and see.
The pedestal was
So
just
now I have to get everything out
relocated.
already, right?
Well, I'm gonna plug it in. I'm gonna plug it. I'm gonna park here anyway.
You gonna leave here, or are you gonna go over there? Oh, I see. You're gonna move it over there.
Are we getting out, Jay? Are we getting out, Jay? Jay, are we getting out?
I'm not sure. So it's working?
I think so. Doesn't lock unless it detects a charge usually.
So that's it now. Can you go?
Yeah, it's charging.
All right. So I guess we're gonna bring the wheelie here.
Yeah, we'll just wheel it over here.
So we are getting out.
Yep, we are getting out.
To use an extension.
She refused. Finally, I tried one last history. There were pretty much no records left of the retron, so this was really our only shot at getting something from the historical record. If we didn't do it now, what Teffer had hoped to preserve would be gone forever. She said, "Don't you find it incredible that those records are gone? They don't want them."
On you. Watch this mirror.
Just fold it in. Yeah, see? Let's go. Yeah, come on, let's go.
I was just saying, why aren't we unloading it there?
Come on then, let's go.
Okay, keep it down then, Rod, okay? You make it sound like it's not a good idea.
It's a great idea, but let's do it if we're gonna do it.
I was telling you to do that before, and you just said move and plug it in.
We don't want people to know the truth about what happened to General.
So the big thing wasn't working, Rod. Do you need money for it?
No.
Maybe ask the front desk. As soon as you've checked in, they'll do it for you, maybe.
It was the same thing as last time. It's not gonna work. Because it's freaking hot out there, Rod.
So there we were. The tapes buried.
And then I'll go and park the car while I'm checking in and all that. Is that good?
A marker to the
Yeah,
lost
right.
cause now held.
No, plug it in at all.
And those who can let us have access to it would rather let this particular story of the past remain unchecked. The trial records, Tepper's letter, tape.
Just a minute. We wait for Mommy. That's it. Done. Let's go to Keaton. Are we getting out?
Please proceed to the highlighted route, then the route guidance will start.
All the way from Winnipeg to here,
Yeah. Well, you.
Why can't we drive home like that?
Well, we
Just
could.
have a stop for a meal and stuff, and then drive again. She'll stay in the car. It's up to Jay, but
You want to do that?
I don't mind driving. How long was it? An 8-hour drive or something?
9 hours.
I'm sure all right for that.
I'd probably rather not, to be honest with you.
Or switch driving. It's up to you, guys. I don't care. Any other driver.
I guess we could go and see how she's doing, and then if by the time we get to Regina she's just fed up, then we find a place in Regina. And if we can keep going, we keep going.
We just have 2-hour stops somewhere she can play. She's got to be able to get out and walk. I need shoes on, we're going out. Going out, I know it's hot. We'll ask for the controls when we go backwards.
Yeah.
Leave them on. You're hot. Is that what you're saying? You're gonna poop it. All these blankets will have to be washed. We've had feet on them, we've had muck on them, we've had hookers on them, we've had sweat on them, we've wiped the floor on them. No, don't kiss your feet with your shoes on. That's caca, them shoes are caca. Can't do that, Abby. No. No. They're dirty. Your shoes, the bottom of your shoes are dirty. I don't think you should go anywhere fancy with her anyway, hon. Just go to a little family restaurant because she's going to act up, I think. You know, she'll have her dinner and then she'll just go to play. What are you doing? Picking up the stairs? And wiping it on you too. I've been watching you.
I know.
Jay's gonna be tired too. I mean, I'm tired. It's hard work just sitting here watching her.
I know.
And keeping her entertained. My turn in the front tomorrow, or your turn in the back. I don't know whose turn it is. I'm in the front tomorrow. Be a big storm, I think.
Yeah. I guess we could ask for a late checkout here and leave here at like after lunch.
Well, no, you have to check out the room and just put your luggage in a room, hon. They give you a tag. I don't know. I don't care what we do. I don't want to spend unnecessary money. I mean. What is this place called? Mutual Lodge and Spa?
Medicine Hat.
Oh, Medicine Hat. Our taxi driver's been there since we came in. No need for this.
Not even in the cab?
No, he decided to go visit somebody. Well, they've gone for a meal because he couldn't find a parking spot close by. And left it there.
Somebody parked in the in the spot.
What spot?
With the power cord.
Oh no. Are they in the power?
No, I was saying it's me.
Here we go. Thank you, love.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Do you want to drive home tomorrow? Be a long day again.
That'll be 8-hour driving, wouldn't it?
About
9
that.
hours? We're gonna do a lot of stops, no? Or what? Like, I'm willing to do that. Why did you guys come up with that idea?
I don't know. Mom just said, why don't we? Mom said we drove here. Why don't we do it again?
Okay. Can't see why not, right? I can't see why not.
And we just leave here late, and then we get home at like 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Dunmore Road southeast, and then turn right.
So we arrive on Friday, and actually, you know, I don't mind that idea at all.
And then we just have Saturday to butt around.
Yeah, and then Sunday just to get Munchkin back into the routine, right? Because it's gonna be all over the place, right?
All right, screw it then. And you know what? If we're driving and Munch is just absolutely fed up, we'll find a spot.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so it's gonna be a long shit drive.
I'll go wash the car tonight after everybody's settled down. And I won't need, now that I've got a little bit of a boost up, I don't need to plug it into the machine. I'll just plug it into one of the spots. Unless I can't find one.
I see. Like just a regular outlet now.
Maybe it may be there when we go back on.
Well, it is. It's just annoying to go back in and get the key and then everything. That's all.
Well, it's worth it, Roger.
Turn right onto
Where we're
Highway
going on
1
Calgary?
West.
Well, we're not going.
On East Perkins or something.
There's a place called somebody's family, Moe's Family Restaurant or something.
What's it called?
Moe's Family Restaurant, I think. Then we don't need to get poo sacks.
Oh, there's a nice mall here. They're building more and more here. That'll be nice.
Yeah, we can stay here late tomorrow too.
Okay, and then I want to have a look in there.
Well, when are we checking out?
Well, we check out at lunchtime or whatever, and then we leave here at...
What's the actual checkout time?
11.
11.
Continue on current
Right, because then, you know, hopefully it'll be later and Munchin will go to bed, right?
Yeah. And if we really can't do it, we can probably just stop in at a hotel, push comes to shove, right? Go check in, wherever, right? It's getting me out of systemic pain. Is that the back thing or is that the whole round?
Maybe. But if we're gonna long shot it, we have enough. Right?
Oh yeah. I guess.
World's tallest teepee.
It's right off this highway.
It looks like it. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Well, it's 40 meters off the road, so it's not interesting. Looks like that thunderstorm over there. It's a place up there. Play structure, I mean.
My body pulling my ball.
Before they posted 3 more driver positions. so I should have a driver position when I get back. That was Derek, remember I was asking him?
Yeah, you figure that much.
Don't pull it, just play with it then.
This guy is all over the place, no? Ish. Not all over the place, but he's sure almost went out. I thought he was going to win out. Oh, there's a big steel rolls.
Oh, big
steel
big
rolls.
metal sheets.
Holy shit. Yeah, sheets. I wonder how heavy those
That
are.
rolling up.
There's two big rolls, and there's 3 in each roll. Sheets.
So that's what we'll do tomorrow, Mom. We go and you can have a shop for a few hours, and then 4 o'clock or whatever, we'll hit the road.
See how we feel.
See how we go, yeah. And hopefully we'll get to home around midnight, 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock, depending how long we stop for.
In 700 meters, turn left onto 7th Street Southwest.
And we could switch. I could drive.
Yeah.
I could drive at night, right when we leave, and then you could drive at night, or the opposite, whatever works, right?
Sure.
In 300 meters, turn left onto 7th Street Southwest, and then turn left.
Remember, she slept.
Turn left
a
onto
long time
7th Street
when we were
Southwest,
coming
and then turn left.
Because it was at night time. I have to have a shower tonight. I can't see where I have to do my head like a wild woman.
Are we gonna go to the pool?
Maybe.
I wouldn't mind going too, but Munchkins probably should be going to sleep now. We'll see.
It's on holidays. Their last night on holiday.
I saw lightning over there. Oh, we missed it. It was about an hour away.
Nice.
I don't think it's coming down. I think it's just continuing that way. We'll see.
Did you see her face, Jade? Nice. No, don't put much now. Show Mommy, what's that? What is that? Show Mommy. She goes, what is it? It's a little mole.
That little mole.
Turn left onto Red Cliff Drive Southwest.
Here we are. Restaurant.
It's funny that Mom didn't realize it was the same place.
The destination is on your right.
Is it in the...
Oh, in the back there, right?
Yeah. Looks like that is it.
You have arrived at your destination. Your route guidance is
What's
finished.
it called?
Massage, no.
Is it called
Look
Ricky?
on my phone. I can't remember what it's called.
You use Google it?
I think I use Apple Maps or Google. Yeah, I checked. I just opened my Safari.
Oh. Mo's Family Restaurant.
What's it called?
Mo's Family Restaurant.
That's Ricky's up there. That's Moose Lodge, so it's got to be around here because it's on your right, so we've gone by it. Yeah. We'll find it.
I'm wondering if it's this place that's gone belly up.
Oh, maybe. Maybe that's it. It's on the right, yeah.
Oh wait, what's that there? Ricky's.
Ricky's.
Yeah.
See if the number on this one is 820. Yeah, it's that one there.
It's gone belly up.
Looks like it.
It's open, but it's closed. It hasn't gone belly up. It's closed.
Oh yeah, closed at 7.
Yeah.
Well, look up Ricky's. Yeah, I know. Look up Ricky's. See if that has a good reviews. But that looks okay to you folks?
Ricky's Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
All Day Grill. They have rating 3.5. 2 signs, American and Canadian. What does it mean?
That's a style of cuisine, it is.
Maybe it's too expensive, but...
No.
What's that one? Oh, Subway.
Let's see. There was another place.
I was going to look at the menu.
There was another place that looked alright. See how far it is. If it's far, then we won't go. Oh, it's 10 minutes away. Mind you, it's back.
Way? Back where we are?
Yeah.
It's not too bad. If it's back where we are.
Yeah, we'll go check that one out then.
That's what you have, being a good kiddo. Yes. Auntie Heather will see a difference in you because you've grown so much.
Yes, if it's
the route guidance will start now. Turn left onto Trans-Canada Highway Southwest and then turn right.
That's why we're going back that way. I mean, Medicine Hat's not that big anyways.
But still, Medicine Hat. Is Medicine Hat in Regina or Saskatoon or what?
Alberta.
Alberta.
Oh.
Alberta.
Near the airport too, take it.
So I was just thinking, I hope it's proper food, but because I'm tired of having the poops like crazy, but it's
turn right onto Gershula Drive. In 700 meters, drive straight onto Highway 1 East. In 300 meters, drive straight onto Highway 1 East.
Oh, it's right here too.
We'll get them. Oh, that's the one way. Yeah.
Yep. Look what? Shit.
So why on earth would they have a green light and us have a red light? That makes no sense. What the fuck? Yeah. Like, you can pretty much give up any hope of beating those trucks.
Yep.
Gonna go bye-bye? Yeah. Leave your shoes on then. Good girl. Are we going bye-bye? Okay.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. There's something wrong.
What's the lights then?
I have no idea, but there's something wrong. Like,
Why don't they move forward? Move forward, buddy.
Any minute now.
Set off the lights.
there we go.
What kind of road is this anyway?
Drive straight onto Highway 1 East.
They're long gone anyway, so sad. but
Continue on current road for about 2 kilometers.
You know what the best part of the trip was, Rod?
What's that?
From Helen.
You like that the best?
That was the best
In
part,
2
yeah.
kilometers,
I liked all the
take 13th
waterfalls and
Avenue
everything, but
southeast
that
on the right.
to me was the best part. I think because it brought back memories of me too.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It was a nice time then. Have a look at me, Mo. There you go.
Keep her quiet. Have a quick look at my mole.
Don't hurt it down there.
Abby,
you have to be nice. Dilly
13th
too
Avenue
smart.
southeast on the right, and then keep left.
She's pulling her face up on.
Too smart, Briella.
Nicely.
Yeah. It's part of Nana's arm. You don't want to take a chunk out of Nana's arm, do you?
Oh, yeah,
Probably gonna put it in her mouth. If she did that. Nana tastes
Take
delicious.
13th Avenue southeast
Yes,
on
she
the right,
does.
and then keep
That's
left.
not nice.
Abby, Dilly cats. Okay, too smart. She's like, no.
Nice.
She was nodding her head, no.
Nice. It's wibbly wobbly. It's a wibbly wobbly ball. It's a wibbly wobbly ball. I'm gonna get that cut
Keep
off.
left onto North 13th Avenue southeast,
Now I
and
see
then
how
turn
older you
left.
just get the scissors and cut it right off. It's not what it'll stink a bit, but get it done quick.
Bleeds.
It'll bleed a lot.
It bleeds
though.
a lot.
I know. I had one cut out. It was a bloody agony for 2 weeks.
Turn left
Stop
onto
it. No,
13th
no.
Avenue southeast.
You want to have a look at it again? See if there's one there. See if there's one there. Look at that one.
In 600 meters, turn right onto Southview Drive southeast.
Okay there, buddy.
Yeah.
Got a nice fancy Dodge car.
What?
Not so fancy. Hey, Rod.
Julie's fish and chip?
No.
Oh no, you upset your stomach last time.
I just that yeah. Oh,
Okay.
it's horrible. What is the place called again? What is it called?
Argo's restaurant, I think. The beef eater?
Yeah, one.
The mom was nine. I was like, yeah.
3.
Beef eater.
Turn right onto
How does the beef
Southview
eater
Drive
sound, Mom?
southeast.
1.
I don't know.
2.
She's distracted by what Skinner just did.
Continue on current road for about 1 kilometer.
It's almost back to our place, you know.
Yeah.
Yay. Alrighty? 1. 2.
You come
In 700 meters, turn left onto Dunmore Road southeast.
1. No, it has to be on 3. Put it down. 1. No. 3.
Seems like
When
it
I
was
count
so
3,
long
put your
ago,
hands
Drum
up.
Howler.
1,
Yeah.
2, 3.
That was our second place to stay down. Jeez Louise.
It was almost 2 weeks ago.
High five.
That was last week then, I mean. Yeah, last week's.
In 300 meters, turn right onto
Yeah.
But Seattle was
Dunmore
only a
Road
week
southeast.
ago.
1, 2, 3.
I also just like 3.
Yay.
Turn right onto Dunmore Road southeast.
High five. Yeah.
Probably best because you're gonna have to go through this traffic, right? Argo's over there. You see it?
Oh yeah.
There's some.
It's just weird, like this is Dunmore, but
Oh, I I see. Oh, Denmore Road Southeast. This is just Denmore Road.
Toot toot. That's right. That's a big bus. Toot toot. Did you hear say toot toot when you seen the bus? Toot toot.
River Dental.
The big one. Toot toot.
Beep beep.
Big bus. Owie.
Beep beep. Actually, I think that storm might be rolling this way. I think that storm may be coming this way. Yeah.
No, maybe we'll have a nice storm tonight.
It did say around
We didn't really have a real nice storm, did we?
No, we missed out on last time. In Winnipeg. This one's by the way. Yeah. They said the thunderstorm, maybe hail, high winds and stuff like that. Around starting around 8, 9 o'clock.
Oh, it's like Moxie's or something like that, is it?
No.
The destination is on your left.
Oh, I don't know.
I've never been.
We kind of stopped at the Meat Eater restaurant.
The beef eater?
Oh, beef eater. Beef eater. What, have the hand
I know over there. Just leave if there's a plug right here.
Your route guidance is finished.
Right there. No plugs in the back. We'll be plugging the car in. Oh, it's at 0.
If I can, I can. If I can't, then I can't. You
There's
know.
a handicap there too, so for
Yeah.
Let's do. Yeah. Good job, Munchkin.
All right, sweet potato, we made it.
Alright, Dad. I thought I loosened it, apparently I didn't. There we go.
Your butt. Take your hand into the back.
Somebody's art. I thought somebody's chair had thrown off. It's a big paper bag. I thought somebody's lawn chair had blown up.
Yeah.
Please proceed to the
literally
highlighted route.
trampolines,
Then the
everything
route
blown
guidance
away.
will start.
Yeah, like parasols from picnic tables, right, and stuff. Look at them, and they're just
parasols from the tables. Yeah.
Right, they call parasols or umbrellas usually.
The same thing. Parasol is like for sun usually, and umbrella is for rain.
Turn right onto Park Meadows Drive Southeast and then turn left.
Oh!
Snatchy. I told you we have to wash those blankets. What have we been using
Route
them for?
recalculated. In 300 meters,
To
turn
table
right
for
onto Perry
food, for
Drive
wiping your
Southeast
nose,
and then turn left.
wiping your hands on whatever food she was eating, right? Everything. I saw some lightning over there sprinkle.
Oh Christ,
Turn
I'm trying
right
to...
onto Perry Drive Southeast and
The whole
then
point of what
turn
I'm trying to do, but they blocked me off. Oh, okay.
Oh, there's a boulevard there. I didn't see that. I was going to just go straight over it. Let's follow the storm.
Turn
Let's go
left
straight down
onto
that way.
Dunmore Road Southeast.
Ooh, lightning, lightning.
With the lightning, did you see that?
It's been going off since
over there.
since it's
lightning. Lightning, look at the sky, Ab, and you'll see it. The rain is coming. The rain is coming.
No, she hasn't experienced a thunderstorm, but the last time it was coming, but it missed Winnipeg completely. Rod. Everywhere else got hit, but not Winnipeg.
In
Might have had
500
maybe a couple
meters,
little
turn left
thunders here
onto
and there, but
Ross Glen Drive Southeast.
what's going on in your mind? Work? Can't stop thinking about it.
No, I got texted back. As far as they know, I know is not awarded a driving position.
There's no bath in there, Jay.
Turn
It's a
left
shower.
onto Ross Glen Drive Southeast.
So you maybe have to have a shower with her first.
Yeah, okay.
I'll have mine late tonight.
There's
Doesn't
nothing
matter,
you can
it's
do
a big
about
house in the
it.
door.
Just text the guy, email the guy, and he can give you a response, right? But that's a pain. That's frustrating.
The destination is on your right.
Yeah, I'll run down and get it, and you folks can go in.
Mom, you have the key, right? Yeah.
Get the shoe on, come on.